You ever wonder what a day in the life of a diesel mechanic looks like? Well, today is your lucky day. I'm going to show you what a day in my life looks like. Let's go get it. Before we do, check out this hat right here. Busted Knuckle Mechanics brand, BKM brand. Check them out on Instagram. They have some sick hats. Let's go. And we got to get out the brunts. I've been wearing these for a while. The Marens. I like those. All right, time to get dressed. I'm a weird creature of habits. I do everything exactly the same every day. Come in every morning, turn on the fans, turn on the lights, put my hat on, get my belt on, and I use a holster for my flashlight. Get all that ready to go, start the music, and get my Streamlight headlamp ready to go on my cart. And this is what my work order slot looks like quite often. I've got all my repairs throughout the day, my diags at the top, and stuff waiting on parts at the bottom. And I'm all prepared. I got all the sockets here. We got some cool sticker packs from Toolbox Widget. And we got all the socket organizers in here to get this done. Came in early and finished up my sockets. The only thing I don't have on here is Torx Plus, and those will go in my toolbox. I don't use those very often. Looks good. And then let's see what I'm working on this morning. Got this 06 6-liter that came in as a no start, starts with ether, and a check engine light. So found that the standpipes were leaking, so pulled that off, got those sealed up, and it also had an oil cooler code. So I've been pulled and twisted, and this whole CDK shutdown really messed us up with parts, so it took a while to get the parts for this. So anyways, yesterday, and it's a dual alternator 6-liter. I don't know that I've ever seen one. This is the first time. Anyways, so I got the oil cooler in, got the intake on. The turbo, I always charge extra to pull the turbo apart, clean it. That way there's no issues. So I did that. Got a new blue spring kit for here, for the fuel pressure, for the fuel bowl. But this morning, I'm about to hang the turbo and get that in. Anytime that you do cooling system repairs, you'd be foolish not to use a vacuum refiller. This is an airlift that I've had for a long time. Works great. Look at that. Sucks that hose just completely flat. So finishing up this 6-liter, this one here, the customer came by to get some tools and told me that another big diesel shop had worked on it and that they were top notch. And I heard they were top notch, but like anywhere you get your vehicle worked on, it's who works on your vehicle, not where it's worked on. Because this one here, it was missing a bolt. Out of one of the 3 turbo bolts was missing. The clamp on the intercooler was stripped. There was just so many little things. About 4 or 5 valve cover bolts were stripped out, and I had to use the longer bolts. Just lots of little things that weren't done right. Anyways, it's done right now. So vacuuming it down now and waiting on an intercooler boot to get it running. So the boot that goes here was stripped out. So anyways, just got to connect the batteries and put that the hot side intercooler pipe on, and that's it. All right, got the 6-liter running here. I'm still waiting on the clamp right here, so I can't drive it, but at least letting it run. I did an oil cooler, so and standpipes and everything, so it's gonna have to be bled. So now I'm waiting on the clamp. Truck's off to the side, and I got to wrap up a fuel filter on a Sprinter. It's a 3-liter. So here I have the AST angled swiveling clamps for these click lock clamps. Angled swiveling pliers for these click lock clamps. Let me tell you, these things are awesome. Don't throw away the clamps and put on worm drives. Just buy these pliers. You don't have to worry about them leaking when you're all done. It is as simple as that. Look at how nasty that map sensor is on the top. That's a 6.7. I did a bunch of work to it, 6.7 power stroke, and was all done with the repairs, went and drove it, and it had a lack of power, and it had a plugged up map sensor. So I had to bring it back in, replace the map sensor, clear the code, drive it, and away it went. So I almost had a day of not working on anything but diesel. And I had this PT Cruiser that I had been working on. It needed some AC work. And I have to tell you guys, the PT Cruiser is one of the best vehicles ever built. No, I'm just kidding. PT Cruisers are awful. But anyways, yeah, so I just having to wrap up this AC job, putting the battery tray back in so that way I can charge it up, check the AC, make sure it blows cold. And now this was a Duramax. It was a big work truck, and this thing was a fairly newer. It was at least a 2019. I'm replacing the cat here in the engine valley. When this thing first came in, it had a multitude of problems. At first, it had a blown out EGR pipe, and then we found that the cat was plugged. And then I had to do something else to it. It took a few different steps of getting authorization with the customer to get this truck done. And I don't really work on Duramaxes that much, so this was, fairly new to me. Pulling the cowl off and everything and replacing the cat because it's right in the valley. But on the cat, the gaskets go on the front and rear of the cat, and you have to get it in there with the gaskets on without pinching them and having them intact after you get the cat in there and twisting it in place. So it was pretty tricky, but it wasn't super hard to do. Actually, it was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be. But after this, turned out perfect. Well, after replacing the cat and then doing a regen and then having to get it out of limp mode, it took quite a bit to get it out of limp mode. Now, this is the worst feeling in the world right here. You can see I'm flipping my mat all around. I'm looking everywhere because I knocked off a tray and it had a bunch of bolts in it and it had some tools, some sockets. And so I'm looking everywhere. This thing's got a splash shield underneath or an undercover, and I can't find it. And I had ratchets, I had sockets, and you can see right here, I feel like the claw in the claw machine is pulling up the prize, and I won the big stuffed animal in the claw machine because, as you can see, I'm pulling up my magnet, and out comes my really awesome flex head snap-on ratchet. Oh my God. One of the hardest things about being an efficient flat rate tech, or in California, we don't have flat rate, but basically it's flat rate. We're bonused on efficiency is, the ability to work on something and to all of a sudden have to just stop, turn off my light, set my tools to the side, go out and go for a test drive with a customer because they have a noise, or pull in a vehicle because there's a leak, or there's an oil change and everyone's busy and you've got to just help out. So probably one of the hardest things, or where you've got to put all your tools away and push the vehicle out because you need the rack for something else. Now, it's one thing if you're waiting on parts, you run out of parts, a part breaks, something comes and it's wrong, but it's another to have to just roll the vehicle out because you need a lift and because another vehicle is more important. Or you've been waiting on parts for something else, working on this in the meantime, the parts for the other vehicle came in and that person's been waiting for, however long. I had a 6.7 Cummins that had to wait for 3.5 weeks to get parts for a fuel system. So sometimes when that happens, you have to just drop everything and work on something else because people need their vehicles. I've never really had a problem doing that where you could just work on something, stop, and then come back to it. So now it's the end of the day, and I'm just getting the rest of my tools put away. And my my old Sunex tools cart is over off to the side beyond the AC machine. And although I got a lot of stuff transferred over, I haven't got everything transferred over. So when I have time, I've got to just move stuff from the gray cart over. Problem is, by the time I'm ready to do this, it's the end of the day. Everybody's already packed the shop full of cars. So I can't really roll my cart over next to my other cart and do that. So I've got to go over, pick up a few things, walk over to my cart, set it all in place, and then go back and forth. So it takes a little bit of time,
but it turned out pretty good. I was lucky a few mornings where I was able to just park them next to each other and just transfer everything. But I really like how this cart turned out. The organization in this cart is just awesome. The toolbox widget socket organizers are fantastic. And the rest of the drawers all turned out beautiful.
So after watching this video, I'm sure you see that I work on a lot of vehicles quite often. Very rarely do I work on only one or two vehicles in a day, unless I'm pigeonholed into something because of parts or they need their truck now. But generally, I have a lot of cars and I have to bounce around a lot. I hear guys talk about how it's better if you could just work on one vehicle and finish it. Yeah, that would be awesome in a perfect world. But yeah, as you saw in the beginning, my work order slot is super full. I've got cars waiting on parts, waiting on authorization. So sometimes things just come in, like the map sensor and the 6.7. I had to just go throw that in, clear the codes, and go confirm that it was fixed. So sometimes that's what my day looks like. Actually, most of my career, that's what my days have looked like. I have very rarely worked on one car at a time. So anyways, thanks for watching the video. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, hit the bell. You get notified of all my future content, which you definitely don't want to miss. Also, drop a comment down below and let me know if you prefer to work on one car or 10 cars at a time. Just your personal preference. See you guys next time.